Hey everybody, an introductory video just to emphasize some of the support for the histology lecture. As you're going through the material, we have an outline, of course, which you can use to take your notes. Okay, there it comes up. And you guys know how it works, but there's a lot of information here, and that's what you want to know for your exam. This is the lecture outline, it's the study outline, it's the exam outline, it's the everything outline, right? But this is a different sort of a lecture. And what I really want to emphasize is this: as you're starting to deal with this information, you want things to be very visual. And so, for example, when we start dealing with some of the specific tissues like simple squamous epithelia, simple cuboidal, whatever, as you study, you always going to have images available. As a matter of fact, it's always going to say, study images on the web carefully. Study images on the web carefully. Because you're actually going to be examined on this information twice. You'll have a lecture exam on it, and then you're going to have the lab practical. And when you do the lab practical, it is going to be very visual. And so when you do the lab practical, you're going to see images of the tissues, and you'll need to know some basic information about it, such as the name, the function, and the location. I will walk you through everything, but I just really want to emphasize that there is a lot of support information, and there's a lot of there's some videos, and there's a lot of there's laboratory image banks, and so I just want to show you where some of this stuff is. So right here, here's the image bank, and of course we can agree to that. And again, what you have here is just a lot of links that will take you to the various tissues that will support you in your learning. And so if you click on any one of these, you'll get Google searches, and you can just, that'll support you. So if I'm looking for a simple squamous epithelia diagram, if I click on that, you're going to get some images that will show that. Okay, so that's going to be a supportive tool for you. The other thing that we have here, of course, there's the video support, where I'll walk you through all the lectures, and in those, of course, I'll have a lot of images. But then there's a lab module here, and so that's really sort of what I want to focus on right now. So when I click on this, I'm going to get all the different various tissues. And so the way this works, let's just choose one. Let's do simple squamous epithelia. So if I click on this, I'm going to get an image. Some of these you'll actually see in the video. Some you won't, but some you will. And the way this works is if I hit, you see there's some items here, but if I hit the About button, I'll get some information, which are basically lecture notes. Might be a little bit overkill, but that's there for you if you want it. You can hit next, next, and then eventually you get back to this image. The About button is only on the first image. Then when you're looking at this, you might want to have some help in identifying. So if I hit the Identify button, things are identified for you, and it gives you a little bit of information about what you're looking at. I can hit the Next button, and then I get another one. And so again, here's we'll talk about this in the lecture, but again, some more simple squamous epithelia. These are actually capillaries here. And then I can hit the Identify button, and things are identified for you. Hit the Next button. Oops, here we go. And again, you've got some another tissue and another little capillary here, but you hit the Identify button, and things are identified. And so you can just sort of go through this, hit the Identify button anytime you want, and it gives you the information. And it's really, really helpful. You want to have this in hand. This image you'll actually see on the videos for sure. Alrighty? And let's see, home. And so we have this for all of these various tissues. And so if you click on any one of them, you'll get the first picture is there's an About. Okay, and get some lecture notes there. Sometimes it's very, very short. Other times it could be, you have to go to a next page. This one's very short, actually. And then hit the Identify button, and then things are identified for you. And oftentimes it will emphasize what's really important about the tissue, particularly the function and the locations. And sometimes I'll actually ask you certain questions that would be good for you to be able to answer. Hit the Next button, and you get another one, so on and so forth. Here's yet again another one. And again, when you see this, you want to be able to identify it and give the name of the tissue, the function of the tissue, and the location. Now, if you use your textbook, and the textbook is a wonderful resource, but you're going to see that it's going to give you a lot of functions and a lot of locations, and really beyond what you need to know. So for the exam that's coming up, you just need to know the functions and locations that I give you and that are on your outline. So keep things focused so it's not so broad. If it's so broad, it's just hard to learn it all. And so you want to use that outline as your guide, and of course the videos will walk you through those videos. Alrighty? And so that's the way that goes. The next thing that we have here is there's also some. So you want to go through these and you want to know these. And by the way, when you do your lab practical, what you will see is you will see a lot of these images on your lab practical. You'll just see the picture, and then you'll have to give the name, function, or the location. Alrighty, right here, I'll actually have some videos here for the lab where I will actually walk you through, in this video, the epithelia. I'll just go through all of these images, actually, is what I'll do. And then the connective tissue, I'll deal with these, and then the cartilage, I'll do these. And these slides, these are in the slide boxes at the colleges. And so this is actually what you would view under the microscope if we were doing the face-to-face class, but we can't do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I've taken pictures of all the tissues, and all these images, by the way, on this page I've taken myself. And I'm just going to walk you through them and just talk about them. You want to do this, of course, after you've done the lecture videos. That, I would have to say, is important. So, but look at these videos after you've looked at the lecture. So this is laboratory now. And then the other thing that we have here are some little quizzes. You can do these on your own, and I call these the pseudo quizzes. And so if I click on one of these pseudo quizzes, I get to a page, and I get some links here. So I can start the quiz here, but there's also an answer sheet. So I'm going to press that real quick. And it's coming up as a Word document. So it's just going to take a minute to come up. Here you have some students at college that are looking at some of the tissues under the microscope. And that's what you would be doing if we were at the college. And so here's the answer sheet. And you can see here there's a station 1, station 2, station 3, 4, so on and so forth, station 5, with all the various questions that we might ask on a lab practical. And on your lab practical, you will have stations, you'll have these images. I can assure you, when you do your lab practical, you're not going to have this many spaces. I think every tissue will have either 2 or 3 questions, and that's it. But what I've done is, for all the tissues I've just thought up every possible question that I could ask on a lab practical for the tissues that I'm showing. Okay, I'm not showing all the tissues, but for the ones that I'm showing. And so this can be a really useful tool. And at the very end of the quiz, you have the answer sheet. So you can fill this out, and then you can look at the answers when the quiz is all over. Okay, so let's get rid of this and just show you how it works. And so when I start it, there you have station 1. And so you look at this and you'll be able to recognize it once you get through the videos. That's a fibrocartilage. Function, of course, it's a shock absorber. Locations, symphysis pubis, and the menisci, a few other things as well. And then, so you fill up your answer sheet, and then you click the next button. You click the station button. That's actually a hidden button there. And then you have another tissue here, and then just answer the questions. And it's just a useful tool. And this is exactly how your lab practical will be set up. And so you'll just look at tissues, and I'll ask you what's the name of this tissue, or what's the function of this tissue, or where's the location of this tissue. Alrighty? And so the emphasis here, everybody, is to make this visual. Now, there's only, watch this, okay, there's only 15 tissues. Okay? I counted. There's only 15. I don't, yeah, so there's fibrocartilage. So I counted up. There's 15 of these. So it's not huge, but you do need to make your study visual. Because for any particular one of these, there will be several images. And so when you look at an image, you need to be able to interpret what that tissue is, and then from the image, then give the name, the function, and the location. Alrighty, and so that's the way it is. And when you're all done, let's just get through the end of this. You'll see a lot of these on the lecture videos and in the general slide collection. Okay, and there it is, finished. And so at this point I have two options. I can return to the home, or I could look at the answer key. So I'll just press the answer key. And so there it is. And so you've got your answers, right? So that's useful. Now, oftentimes when students do this, I would suggest starting really, really soon with all this information. But sometimes when students go through, they looked at the lectures, they've studied all the pictures, and they take pseudo quiz 1, and they say, "Oh my, I don't think I know it quite as well as I should." At that point, what to do is you'll have a sense of how to go about the material, and so just go through the pictures again, name, function, location. And then, you go through it again, and then, I've got it, I know it, I'm set, I'm good. And at this point, if you want, you can do a pseudo quiz 2, okay? And it's just the same sort of a thing. You'll get different images, so on and so forth. Alrighty, and stations. So that's what your lab practical will look like. You do want to make everything visual, because even on your lecture exam, there will be some illustrations. You won't actually do the images. Okay, and so there's a lot of resources here, and so enjoy it. It's actually a lot of fun. It's actually, some of these tissues are really sort of pretty, and you'll see it all makes sense, but it does take time. And so as you're studying it, always, always, always have the pictures available. In a face-to-face class, what I require the students to do is to actually make flashcards. I'm not going to do that for you. But I would have them do flashcards where on one side they put the picture, and on the other side of the 3x5 card they would put the name, function, location, and if there's any other appropriate information. And I'd have them do 3 different cards for each tissue. And that way they have some flashcards, and they would learn the tissues pretty well. You will find as you get into some of these that a lot of the tissues are the same, pretty much. But other times there's a little bit of variation. Okay, so those are your resources. And so study hard,